That's why I interrupted.
Yeah, no, I understood that.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is the life cycle of an asphalt road, and where we are. If the road went in on Maritime Lane in like 2003, 2004.
Yeah, earlier than that, but yeah, 2002, 2003.
Yeah, you can see we're in that rehabilitation stage right now. And so let's go to the next slide. See that T patch right there? That's held up remarkably well, and I think that was done, it was at 2017.
Yeah,
And just right off of it, the next picture. You'll see a lot of alligatoring right down the side of the road. That's because, we got these, well, waste management trucks will come down there and pick up the trash cans, right? Those things, their tear weight is between 25 and 35,000 pounds. And on top of which, the line that runs for picking up all the storm drainage is in the middle of the road. So we got a compaction over pipe. Pipe is maybe 2 feet deep in some cases. And that's what needs to be solidified. What they'll have to do is come in and cut out some of that. Take it out, compact it, they might have to bring in some 5/8 minus or something to further compact it. And then put in a whole layer of asphalt, just like they did on that T patch. But it stabilized it. And that's what I'm hoping for, if we can get of the worst places stabilized now. And then do the crack sealer, the filler, and then seal coat the entire thing. There's only a window when you can do that in this climate, and it starts like the second week of July. It runs through August, but that's about it. It has to be dry. So let's go to another picture. There's some more alligatoring, not nearly as bad. This is up towards kind of where you are, Marty, about that end on the west end. Take another picture. That shows a little. I want to bring this up because they got a little bit of greenery coming through the cracks. And there's two ways to do this. You either take it and pressure wash it, right? And sometimes they'll just come and pressure wash the whole thing before they seal coat. Or some of the folks have these machines with basically wire brush on them, and they go through and they dry clean them, cut the stuff out so that the greenery and whatnot comes out. Because if you pressure wash a crack, all you're doing is driving water in there. It makes it harder for the stuff to set up when you put a crack sealer in there. So yeah, next slide. So these are the bids that I got. Lakeside said, oh yeah, we can come in and rip off 2 inches. We have to come in and redo the catch basins. And they're kind of the Cadillac of roads for Washington State in general. But they have a plant here in Anacortes. Fidalgo Paving, they've got great reviews. They were suggesting replacing about 800 square feet full depth. And then everybody comes through and they'll say, we're gonna fill approximately 1,500 lineal feet of hot crack seal. The hot crack seal goes down at about 350 degrees. The stuff is hot, but you need it to get in there. Some places, the Lowe's, Home Depot will sell a cold crack seal, and you smear it on, and yeah, it might get into a boot, but they're not nearly the way you would put down the hot crack seal. Great reviews. Number 3, J&R Paving. Decent quote, but the reviews are non-existent. And what you can find is spotty. Highline Paving Maintenance, they're the ones that did that patch, that T patch, the first one I showed you. And they've also done crack sealing, and also if you walk the lane, you'll see where some of the crack sealing had been done, and the extent to which new cracks have come up. but they're highly thought of in the area. They're coming out tomorrow. Theirs is only to crack, fill, and seal coat. That wasn't for doing any of the removal of the asphalt, compacting and coming up with new asphalt. But they're gonna come out with an eye towards that. Everett Seal Coat, again, they've got, they only do pretty much the dry cuts, the crack seal, crack fill, and then seal coating. They're well thought of as well. They're out of Arlington. And then Asphalt Quality Sealers is in town here. Reviews were few and mixed. So I wanted to set you up with that information because of what we're gonna talk about on the financial side. So I'll turn it over to Julia.
Laura, can I ask a quick question?
Yes, please.
Were any of these the people that filled in after the fiber was dug up on our street?
Yeah, none of this work has been done after that. That was all the fiber folks.
Companies that put the concrete back down on? Was it any of those companies?
No, I think they had their own that was doing the work on that.
Cause they didn't do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't remember them using a real hot crack seal on some of their.
Yes.
I'm not sure who the vendor was.
Yeah,
that they used.
because usually crack sealing was what they do is they put it down really hot and then they shove it in. So this other stuff tends to sit up on top of the crack sealing I've seen done. Yeah.
It's just I wondered if they were.
Right. Which-
Julia has something.
Lar,
Yes,
could you repeat what her question was? I could hear your answer, but I don't know what the question was.
yeah, well, hopefully I answered the question, which were, no. It had to do with, were any of those people that I got bids from, were they the ones who were working on the zip fly?
On the city finding money.
Installation,
Oh,
yeah. And I didn't think it was. Yeah. So, but thank you for reminding me that, because yes, they may not hear what you had to ask. Okay. Do you want to do go to financials?
sure.
Okay.
Okay, well, cover sheet. We'll be talking about financials. There's about 12 pages, so bear with me. This is the treasurer's report, comparing our our proposed budget and what we actually spent and showing the variance. And what you'll see is the largest variance was mostly in utilities, especially in electricity. Now, this was primarily because we built this budget based on the previous year's 2024's electric use, and looking at a 3% inflation. And it turns out that we actually had 10 months instead of 8 months of high usage, but the rates were higher, $20 to $30 per month in all those 10 months. So we ended up being $500 plus over budget. Water was a little bit over budget, but pretty close. Because we don't pay sewer fees, we don't pay any of the excess city, we don't pay taxes, we just pay for the water use. And then you'll see under landscape and sprinklers that we almost used up all the money. This actual budget amount of $7,140 actually had a $500 excess in it, because we've been noticing that we've been experiencing a lot of repairs. And so I added $500 to the actual cost over what Simply Yards charges us each month. But we had a leak and had repairs done on the irrigation, and that actually the repairs amounted to $1,044. And so we took 500 out of contingency. And that's why this didn't run over more. So we had, I'll get to the contingency fund in a later slide to give you more details. And then, so what you see is the original proposed, the original estimated budget was $545 per lot. And we spent $559.46 per lot. Now this looks like a lot, like a big overrun, but because we budgeted and asked for dues of 550, really, when I go to the next page, no, sorry. Anyway, you'll see that we really only exceeded the budget by $9.46. I mean, from what we actually collected per lot. And so that'll come out in the profit and loss sheets that I'll get to shortly. Are there any questions on the actual versus budget? What you'll see is we had approved in the 2025, January 2025 meeting to use the contingency money to pay for the waterfall clean out and repair. But we hadn't anticipated such a large irrigation issue. So that's really reduced our reserves, and you'll see how that affects us later. So, sorry, is there a question?
Nope.
No,
Okay. So our major expenses for last year was the pond clean out. The total cost was $4,460.80. So we took 4,210.80 from the contingency and used some of the underruns in the pond maintenance budget to cover the rest of the cost. And the reason there was an underrun was because Torben had bought excess algicide and food in 2024. And so that saved us in 2025. We had a little bit of extra money. So we put some of that underrun into the paying for that waterfall clean out so that we don't take so much out of the contingency. Then we had irrigation repairs along Anacortes Beach where the trees were. The irrigation heads were raised in some cases, and I believe there was also a broken valve and a leaky pipe. So we took $544.21 from contingencies, but used the $500 that I had allocated that were underruns in the landscape maintenance to pay the rest of it. And then you see our electric bill exceeded our budget estimate by nearly 40%. Now, they had projected an 8% increase, 7.8% increase in the rates. But our bills ran $20 to $30 higher every month. So our total cost for electricity was $1,917.98. And that's and so this is what I was just telling you. Because we set the dues at $550 versus what was budgeted, we actually only were over per lot $9.46. And these expenses and income can be seen in the profit and loss statement, which should be our next slide. So here's the start of are there any questions yet? I can go back to this. Are there any questions on this?
you have a question?
Can you tell us what the utilities are, the light, that's for all our street lights, is that right?
No, that's Puget Sound.
No.
I'll answer that.
Okay.
Energy is paid by the city of Anacortes for those three lights.
So the electrical use that we have is the low voltage lighting up by the pond
Okay,
and up, so basically coming down what's called track A and track B, the two tracks up at the top.
Yeah.
And then the pumps to run the waterfall. And that pump to run the waterfall is the most expensive thing to run. Julia pointed out, we had budgeted for 8 months of running it, because normally, once the temperatures drop in the fall, we can shut down the waterfall, so we were not getting growth in it, the fish could still survive.
Right.
But it wasn't getting cold last fall,
Right.
so we had to
Right.
keep the pump longer.
I see.
And it's actually gonna probably be a problem coming into spring as well, because we may have to fire the pump up sooner again rather than later. So we may see a little bit of that problem again this year. Just
Yeah,
because-
and actually, we fired the pump up earlier last year because we scheduled the pond clean out for March. So we had to turn everything on then, you know, and normally we would have waited till April.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
No,
any other question?
I guess probably the other thing, just to clarify, so the water, we have 2 water meters. One is for the irrigation, i.e. all the sprinklers and all the medians, and the other one just feeds the pond. So as the pond gets low, it's got a valve on it to adjust the flow in there. Last year we were fortunate. I don't think we had any valve problems in there. But if anybody ever sees water running down the street, please get a hold of me. And we'll fix it right away.
Actually, get a hold of Jennifer.
Yeah, get a hold of Jennifer. She'll subcontract to somebody.
Okay, I'll go on.
Yes.
So this is the gain and loss statement, and it's just a different way to look at the budget. But basically, we had, at the start of the year, we had 38,778.39 in our checking and savings account. And we collected 15,950 in dues and $2.27 in interest. Wow, from our interest bearing savings account. Wow. So, and I'll get to that in another slide as well. So you see our administrative costs, and this matches the budget page, $212. Our utilities, this isn't showing the overage, this is just showing the totals, but it was over 500 and some dollars. And then landscaping was under just slightly. And our pond maintenance, and it was just, the reason it looks like we spent most of the money is because applying the pond clean out, you know, $500 to this underruns in this account. So here's what we used our reserves for. We have a mulch reserve, and there's a lot of money in it. And we went with someone new this year. And so instead of using Simply Yards, which charges about $1,500 to mulch the common areas on track A and track B, the waterfall and the other side of the street, plus all the tree wells, we got it done for $485. And then we did the clean out. And so this is how much was taken out of contingency. Well, sorry, only 4,210 was taken out of contingency, and 500 was taken out of, I have this backwards, 500 was taken out of the, that was for the irrigation fix, because the rest of the charge was put into the budget underruns. So our grand total of expenses was 17,620. So that left us with 3,528. But we also have the reserve accounts. So we ran with a loss of $271.99. So there isn't actually that much money in the reserves as it would seem. And so our expenses were $9.46 more than we took in money for. Now, the board looked at opening CDs to gain some interest, because there were CDs being offered at 4%. So we put 25,000 into two different CDs, 10,000 at 3.5 for 8 months and 15,000 at 4% for 10 months. They offered us this introductory 4%, and then they couldn't do that on two, that they had to go with whatever their going rate was for with the next amount. So this 15,000 just matured today. But the first one, the 10,000, was renewed at the same rate, but only for 6 months. So it'll be maturing in May. And I don't know what the second CD will be until Lar goes and checks with the bank. He's got 10 days.
The second CD rolled over for 6 months at 3.5%.
So it's the same as the other one,
Mhm.
basically.
Yeah, I was a little leery about the feds on Wednesday.
So basically, we earned $750 in interest this last year as of the end of the year. However, we have to pay federal income tax on these, and the tax is 30%. That's just what it is for HOAs and nonprofits. And so we're going to have to be paying $185 in taxes this year. I'll be doing those taxes in February or March. So I'm proposing that we put or allocate the gain that we have from 2025, which the net gain would be $530, and add it to the contingency reserve. And so that's something that you guys will vote on. I mean, because it could be added anywhere, but I'm proposing adding it to the contingency for now. Okay, so this is our reserve fund status as of the end of the year. We started with 38,035.47, but we spent 4,000, we took 4,710.80 out of the contingency reserves to pay for the waterfall clean out and part of the irrigation repair. And we took 485 out of the mulch for mulching that common area. So right now we have, oh, and then I had suggested in last year's January meeting to put our gain into the contingency. So that's why you see this amount here. So here's our total in reserves, 37,1201. And you can see that our contributions have stayed the same for probably 5 years now, except we added the tree maintenance 2 years ago. Are there any questions on the reserves? This is just the status.
Yeah, no.
Oops, sorry. Lar?
Yes, no questions.
Okay. So here's our proposed budget for 2026. What you'll notice is I've added the taxes that we'll have to pay into the budget. And we have the money, so it should be fine. But notice the large difference in the electricity. What I did is I added 2% inflation to what we actually spent this last year. So I just modified that in the last, after we balanced the books for the end of the year. So it's quite a big gain, in expenses there. And I also bumped the water up because we know the water rates are going to increase. But the city sent out an announcement and showed what all the increases are. We don't pay for most of them. They mostly deal with taxes and sewer. But I still added $50 because we spent $1,430 something. So I just rounded it up to $1,500. I added a little more for landscape and sprinklers because I'm assuming we're going to get a rate increase from Simply Yards. We haven't had a rate increase. We didn't get a rate increase last year, so I'm expecting we'll have one. I just hope it isn't too much. And all the rest of these are well within the 2% increase that we usually allow for inflation. However, looking at, and I'll get to this in another slide, looking at our reserves and what we need for 2026, if we do paving, do the lane, and looking at which we've proposed for a couple of years now, that the fence would probably be replaced in 2030. We're going to need extra money in the reserves. And so there's two choices. You can have a special assessment, or we can raise the amount we put in, which would raise the annual fees. So I'm proposing adding raising the fence reserve to 2,350 for the next 5 years to cover the estimated replacement costs for the fence, which we'll get to shortly. I'm also suggesting reducing the mulching because we don't pay $1,500. Now we only pay about $500. So if we reduce the mulch reserve to 150, it helps offset that rise in the fence reserve. But also we've realized it's about every 5 years we have to do the pond clean out. And so in order to have the $4,000 to $5,000 that is needed for the pond clean out, we'd need to assess $1,000 a year. Put that, not assess it, but put it in reserves. And so I've suggested creating a new waterfall reserve of $1,000. So that brings our estimated budget up quite a bit. And I'm proposing that this 2026 homeowners dues be $630. So what are the expenses that we plan for 2026? We hope to do the crack fix, a partial replacement of some of the asphalt, and reseal of the whole lane in 2026. However, our current paving reserve is inadequate to cover the cost. But since we need the money this year, it would have to be, to raise the difference, we need to have a special assessment. And using the Fidalgo paving estimate from last year and adding inflation, it comes out to $150 per lot to cover the shortfall for what we have in reserves in the asphalt repair, in the lane repair. I'd also like to move $800 from the mulch reserve, because there's about $1,800 in that reserve, to the paving reserve. That so that you only have to pay $150. Otherwise it would be even higher. And so you can see that we would like to increase the fence reserve, reduce the mulch reserve, add a special assessment, and create the waterfall pond maintenance reserve. So that would mean each household would have to pay $780 this year. And I know a lot of people paid with 2 checks. You don't have to do that. They're kept separate. We account for them separately, but you can pay for them with a single check. That's assuming it gets approved. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because of the changes to the reserves. So our planned expenses for 2030, so looking out 5 years, we plan to replace the fence along Anaco Beach Road. But our current reserve balance is inadequate to cover the estimated cost of that replacement. And our allocation is inadequate by the time, if we project out to 2030. So if we increase the fence reserve for 5 years, and this is a 5-year solution, this isn't permanent because it's only because the price of materials has gone up so much from when we had our initial set up the initial reserve and selected the amount. That we've only got a 5-year span to make up the difference. So hopefully people will understand this. Oh, I think I made a mistake on this slide.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't correct that. It's supposed to say 150, but if we don't increase the allocation of the reserve allocation, so increase the budget for these 5 years, we'd have to assess at least 115 or more per lot as a special assessment to make up that difference over those 5 years. And I don't think that's a smart way to do things. I think it's better to have a smaller increase each year in what you have to pay for the dues so that we can build up the reserves. But that's something you'll have to, consider yourself. Also in 2030, then we'd have to look at the 20-25-year replacement cycle. And instead of it being 2,350 to try and make up the shortfall, over 20 years, also rolling that same estimate out to 2050 means we'd have to have approximately $1,925 added to the reserve each year for those 20 years to have enough to replace it in another 20 years. So again, it's whether or not you want to do a special assessment or whether or not you agree with.
We're gonna have an attendance problem.
Okay, yeah, okay. And then, of course, we've bankrupted our contingency reserves with the last 2 years doing the pond clean out, and I don't remember what we did the year before that. Oh, the trees, cutting the trees down. We did that all out of contingency. So we now only have like $500 in contingency. So that's not our saving grace for any reduced budget costs. So that's why I proposed setting up a waterfall reserve and allocating 1,000 a year. That gets us 5,000. It was 46, almost 4,700 this year. It will probably be a lot more in 5 years. So anyway, think about that. So what we need all the members to vote on is to approve the proposed budget of $630 per lot. And doing that means you'd approve creating the waterfall pond reserve, increasing the fence reserve, and decreasing the mulch reserve. Now, if we don't increase the fence reserve, it only reduces the budget by $30. So it'd still be $600, even if you decided you don't want to do the increase for the fence reserve, if you wanted to leave it where it is. Okay, and then I'm asking that we have a special assessment to cover the shortage in the paving reserve for the work that we hope to do this year to head off higher cost repairs if we let the lane continue to deteriorate. So the board's suggesting that we do that lane repair in 2026. So that would be what you're voting on. And that's it.
I have a question.
You got a couple of questions, Julia.
Okay.
These are old fish. You've been here, the fish are old. Will they still be alive in 5 years? And if they're not, are we intending replacing them? And do we
We'll
have
just
to?
keep the work going.
People hear that, can you repeat that question?
Sure.
These fish are old.
The fish are old,
They've been
The
here
fish
as long
are
as they-
old.
and
Will they
if
be
the
here
fish
in
die,
5 years?
do we replace the fish?
If they die, will we replace them? And if we don't, do we still need them?
I think we're freezing their eggs.
Can I have a little?
Just 2 seconds. Let's take care of your question first. So
How
about
many are?
about 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, we had all the fish get killed off. We replaced the fish. I think it cost Jennifer and I $35 to do it. We bought some pretty small fish that are now like whales. And
They're worth a lot of money.
yeah, the big ones are probably $1,000, $1,500 fish.
And they can also live 20 to 25 years.
Yeah,
I know
that's not
exactly
cool.
by exact.
So as long as we don't get any visitors in there, being any animals that come in and hunt them, they should be around for the foreseeable future. If we didn't have the fish in there, could we shut down the waterfall? Perhaps. The problem is there's a lot of engineering that has to go into that, because you can't just fill the pond in. You're gonna have to fill it in, but you're gonna have to dig it out and put drainage in it, otherwise it's just gonna become a mosquito swamp. So there's quite a bit of work that needs to go into that. And I think, at least I know how I feel about the waterfall, not just because I've been maintaining it, but in all the years we've lived here, it sets the tone for the neighborhood. We're not Skyline. I don't think we want to be Skyline. You know, it's one of those features of the neighborhood that, yeah, it does cost us some money to run, but I think it really sets a message for the neighborhood.
Do these fish ever breed?
Do they
Yeah,
what?
they eat them.
Breed.
They do, they eat their eggs.
Yes,
Well, we had the fish pond and we collected the offspring and they took it to the fish store and got credit, they paid for everything.
that's fantastic. I've actually not found eggs in there, or
We, many years ago, when Vicky lived here, we did find eggs and we couldn't do anything with them. Moby, the biggest guy, he is actually a girl. And they have had babies. For those of us that are there, Dave is over there all the time too. Every once in a while, you'll see them in there, but they eat their young. A lot of times they have their babies in the winter time, and that's what they survive on when they're down low. So I don't know how we could catch them and do that. I don't think Torben's gonna put us in waiters and.
well, now we put them on my Speedos and everything.
Because I don't have all the history. You maintain the pond.
Yeah.
You maintain the fish and the
fish,
people
the
who
pumps,
live
the pond.
in the house next to the pond.
Mhm.
That's Dave.
Dave?
Oh, hi, Dave. Dave. Yeah, okay, you help with the pond
Yes.
as well. So,
Yes. No, no, not sort of. Things are go apart. Between Dave and I, we keep it running.
Okay.
And if there's problems, we figure out how to fix it. And,
Okay. okay,
So, and the biggest part of that is, if we didn't do that, you could probably 10x that number up there, because in the summertime, as it warms up, we're over there cleaning the filter twice a day, morning and evening, just because of the amount of growth that you get in there.
right,
And if we had to have someone come in professionally to do that, the closest company's out of Mount Vernon. I don't even want to think about what the bill would look like, but
right. right. Okay, thank you.
So
That,
when Dave and I move off to a retirement home.
so my question would be, because I did have a pond when I grew up and my father and I took care of it, is at one point we took the fish out and continued just the whole recycling of water and kept it moving, which was occasionally cleaning the filter and so on. So what you're saying is that with the fish, all of that maintenance takes place. Without the fish, would it be easier, less money,
I
less?
think really the only thing we'd save is maybe the fish food, and I don't know, Julia, what we spent in fish food, $150 a year, fish food. I mean, that's really the only thing that come to mind, because we
Right,
had the long daylight hours in the summertime,
right,
and that's really what gets stuff growing in there, right?
right.
And we have to get that out of there, whether we've got fish or not, we're gonna have to keep the pond sufficiently clean.
I think we have a big decision to make. Ultimately, if Corbin doesn't take care of our fish, who's going to be, maybe I should learn how to take care of the fish too.
Okay.
That's, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Come on out. You're accepting that.
Anyone else?
Yeah, right, exactly.
I think, Torben, it was about $450 is about what the fish food costs, but we'd still need like algicide, I think.
Yeah, I don't think the fish food was, well, I know you've got better detail on that, but yeah, it's the algicide and stuff that we put in there that definitely adds.
Sorry, it was probably more like 350
Yeah,
because the algicide is more, I think, than the fish food. And now there are fewer fish, so
yeah.
of course maybe they're eating more, I don't know.
The bigger they get.
Right. Well, thank you, you take much care of our.
Keeps us out of trouble.
Okay, so with that, we should probably have, if there aren't any other questions, vote on the increase of the annual dues, the 300 plus. I'm sorry.
I don't know if this fits here, but I have a question about the paving estimate.
Yes,
So I think if I heard right, Julia said she based it on the Fidalgo
yes,
paving.
paving and construction, yeah, that's it.
Was
That's
that the
it.
first one on the,
No, that was about $40,000, and that was Lakeside Industries.
oh,
They were the second one on the bid,
second.
then J&R paving. As I said, I found a review that they didn't, somebody didn't like them, and that was it. And then the other ones were not for the same thing as far as cutting out the alligator area to stabilize. Because if think of it this way, if you can stabilize all of Maritime Lane, the way that patch had stabilized it, when you go back in to redo Maritime Lane, you don't have to take out all the asphalt, you just resurface it. Right? So, that's cheaper instead of removing all the asphalt. If you can stabilize it, if you can't stabilize it, it keeps alligatoring, you gotta come back in there, cut out all the asphalt. Go through the compaction, you may even have to move the drainage system, the storm sewer, because it runs down the center of the road. As I said, you've got a lot of weight. The wheels are going down the center of the road as they're picking up the garbage cans.
so that's the estimate that makes the most sense.
Hmm?
That's the estimate that makes.
That
the
right
most
now,
sense.
so I've got Highline Paving, who has done the previous work, they did a good job on that. They're here in town, Sean's coming out tomorrow at 4 o'clock, we're gonna meet. And see what he can do with his bid was 7,000 and change, just to seal. Crack seal and seal coat. But he also said in his bid, not the alligated areas. They weren't gonna crack seal the alligated areas because it'll just fail. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
okay, yes,
I'm a new person on the block and I would just like to thank all of you. I think you come cheap. At $630. Bless your hearts. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you all.
yeah, good job, Julia, too.
Well, I guess, really at the end of the day, if you look at the increase you're proposing, it's what? About $75 round numbers on the dues, right? And another 150 in a one-time assessment. So it's $225 we're talking about here. It's what, 65, 70 cents a day for living where we live.
Yeah.
Is it even worth it? Even over that?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
You entertain a motion?
Nope.
Yeah.
There you go.
There was a question right there. I saw the hand go up.
Hey, Galvin.
I want to say no questions. I really appreciate the thoroughness with which the board has prepared the report, and of course the attention to detail from Julia and all the explanations. So thank you, and very supportive of what's been proposed.
Thank you.
I will tell you, I'm also working right now, 2 other bids on the fence. Because I'm concerned about costs going up further than they have. And I got one bid that would fit into our budget, but it's apples and oranges. It isn't exactly the construction that I wanted to see. It has to be beefed up, and I know it's gonna cost more, but it was a decent bid. So anyways, could I have a motion to approve the, yes,
I make a motion to approve the budget at 6:30.
okay,
And on the one-time special assessment of 150.
okay. Should we do both of them?
I can't say no.
Same jump, you know. 1 second.
So can you remind us your name? Joe.
150 a hard.
Is it a hard number? It's based off of the bid I got last year. I called them and spoke to them, and they said that the numbers haven't changed.
Thank you.
But if you choose a different company, what happens?
Could possibly, I'll see what Highline Paving comes back with.
Seconded.
Who seconded it?
Any second?
I'll second it.
Thanks,
All right,
Marty.
Robert? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I was looking this way. Okay. Did you do?
Lots of thumbs up.
Yeah, okay, all right, great, that passed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We also have to approve the financials, right?
Yes.
Do we approve the financials?
I motion to approve the financials.
Okay,
Second.
that's Bridget. Calvin seconded,
There you go.
all in favor?
Yeah.
Second.
Aye. Maybe I have to abstain.
Thank you. Amendment to the CCNRs. I know you're tired of hearing me talk about that. However, we were under the impression, and we were working with the revised code of Washington, which was 64.38, under which we were created. The homeowners association was created under those. It's changed. They lumped all homeowners associations, condo associations, any association you could think of into a new chapter within the revised code of Washington. That revised code is 134 pages long. The previous code was 32 pages long. Okay, so while we forensically went through what we had to look at last year with all the updates, now we have to go back and look at these as well. Usually if you're making a few changes, as we were proposing a couple years ago, you would just file an amendment and say, okay, in this paragraph, we're changing it to read thus and such. And you'd be done with like within 3 or 4 pages of what we had. I'm finding out that it's better to amend and restate the CCNRs. That way you don't have to say, we're going to change this paragraph to read this. What we would do is create a whole new CCNR, but it's amended and restated, so you'd still have the original document on file and all those amendments on file as well, even though you would incorporate those other amendments, like we had an amendment to, if we want to make a change to the CCNRs, we have to have 70% of the vote, right? As an example, we would just incorporate that into the new ones. they have. You know Nick Saban
Yeah.
with the commercial for the VRBO?
Yeah.
Okay, there's gonna be, no showers longer than 5 minutes, this is not a spa, and he goes on and on and on. Well, I read the Anacortes, so, the work harder, not smarter. I went back and looked from July 1st of 2018 to present day, all condominiums that had CCNRs, but homeowners associations, or anything that had covenants in the word recorded at Skagit County. And I went through there and picked out, okay, this is a CCNR that meets the new rules. Admittedly, the new rules had had 10 amendments to them. And there's 2 pending. So it's a moving target.
Wow.
The problem is that the rules, we have to have your CCNRs completed, restated by January 1st of 2028. You have to abide by the rules as of January 1st of 2026. So we have to go through fairly soon and go through forensically and figure out what the new rules are gonna be that apply to us. Because they have large scale projects in there, vertical and horizontal condominiums, they have everything in there. Under this one chapter, and so some of it doesn't apply to us, but it's just the reading of it and saying, oh, that doesn't work, this doesn't work. So we'll try to keep as much of the original one and just go back in. We have one paragraph in our existing ones that says, if there's a difference between what we say and what the state says, we're gonna follow what we say. And that doesn't count, and that's the existing CCNRs that we've got. We just say, well, we'll abide by this, wherever it is, the Washington Uniform Common Interest. Whatever else it is, it's right there, ownership, that's what it is. That's the new rule. Just to let you know.
So-
Is there a commit, is there,
There's a board.
do we hire somebody to do that, or?
Okay, so for a something small the size of us,
Mhm.
you go online, is that the average cost has been $7,000 to $12,000. Okay.
Right.
So it's in English, it's in legalese. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we would go through it as a first cut. I mean, I know how to file, record documents in any county in Washington State. In terms of their formatting, they're all the same. And the cost is all the same, $303.50 for the first page and $1 for every page thereafter. Which is why it makes sense to amend and restate. Just restate the whole thing all over again and make the changes where necessary.
So are you suggesting that you are going to go through and do that?
Well, that's what we did the last time. The board did that.
The board did that?
Yeah, it's a
We
little
should have a
daunting.
stipend for you.
Yeah,
to
and
do that.
this is gonna be even more daunting going through the 134 pages.
Well,
But a lot, it doesn't apply.
Oh,
But
We
for-
also went through the city code.
Yeah, we also went through the city code as well.
Why does the state think this is a good idea?
They wanna put everybody under the same chapter, the same revised code of Washington. There's actually, this is the third one. There was one before the revised code of 64.38 that we were formed under for earlier HOAs, condominiums and whatnot. So, but now they've just said, okay, everybody has to conform to the new rules.
Okay.
Yeah. Cleans it up on their end, makes it in for the attorneys on the other side,
Yeah.
but
We're fortunate because of the size of our HOA, there's a lot of the financial things in there that we don't have to abide by.
Yeah.
Like
if our dues. go
outside
up-
auditors and all
Yeah,
sorts of things.
if we, the auditors, it's 10% of your budget,
Yeah,
and whether or not you could get an audit for that. It's if your dues go over $1,000. if you're under 12 units, you know, there's all sorts of, you know, you know, here's the rule, but here's, you know, go look at this other, you know, sub-paragraph to see if you fit that rule. It's,
Do you need
Yeah.
a motion here, or do you need?
No,
to
this is just- this is just information for you that this is what the board's gonna be tasked with.
So,
So segueing on that, we've got, let's see, Bridget, you're not up, or are you up for reelection?
I started in
I think-
2022. I think I'm up.
I think you're up, but you've agreed to stay on?
I have agreed to stay on.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
We gotta get through those contracts.
Yeah.
And Diane is coming off the board, her 2 years is up. Diane Cohen. Yeah. And so Jennifer has agreed to come on the board. But that has to have approval from all of you. Plus, we'd ask all of you, how many of you want to be on the board? I've never heard such a quiet group.
well, you really made it inviting by talking about the RCWs right before you asked.
Yeah.
Welcome to the board.
So with Diane, yes,
Looks like last year, according to my 2025 notes, I was up, so I think.
I think you have another year.
What's that?
You have another year, right?
Yeah, I have another year, so
Right. So do I,
and so does Julia.
so does Julia,
So who is up?
I am.
Just
and
Diane
then Maria.
and Marie.
There'll be 2 people up this year. Diane? And,
Is it Maria?
yeah,
Taco?
yeah, it have to be, right?
Okay,
Yes.
and she's agreed to stay on.
Okay.
Unless, and she's in the 5th position, by the way. Which is duties as assigned,
The roving director.
yeah. And she's also a tiebreaker, you have to have odd number of directors. If we had 4 directors, nothing would ever get done.
Okay, so what's the question?
Also, should we have a motion for Jennifer Mann to go on the board?
I second that. Somebody make it.
No, yeah, somebody has to make it. Angela,
Martha.
Martha?
Five to
Okay.
2.
all in favor?
Aye.
Guys couldn't say it fast enough. Any new business, anything anyone wants to talk about?
Okay, the light on the.
The light. This light, in December of,
We might want to back up and tell everybody where the
Okay.
lights at.
so we have 3 lights. The light you're referring to is SLF 4048. That's the tag on that one. And so,
Just one question. I need the last names of the people who made the motions. So that was Angela,
yeah, your neighbor,
last name.
Oh.
All right. Oh.
yeah.
Yeah. You're all a blur. I'm typing like crazy. Okay, so sorry. Hi, Angela. And second. Thank you.
Okay, so for the light, for all of you know, when you come out of the cul-de-sac area, Maritime Court, you drive down and you make a 90-degree turn at the bottom. There's a light pole with nothing on it, some wires hanging out the top.
Right outside my deck.
Right outside. So let's see, this is 35 of December of 2023. We're still using the same ticket number that I got from Puget Sound Energy. So they came out. And then last year, I guess that was been in 2024 that we talked about at the meeting. One of the lights was only giving out half the lumens, and that was the one over by Julia's house and Martha.
It's on the corner of the lane and the court.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And they came out and they fixed it. They came back and they said, we don't have the parts to fix the other one down by here. And then they took the light fixture down. They actually had it working in about March of 2025. Right around then, they had it working for a while. They took it apart, they took the fixture down. And so you have the yard arm for all your sailors out there, right? And then they said, the vendor sent them the wrong stuff. Then they took the yard arm down and sent it back to the vendor. And that was as of like, I don't know, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, now I've been with them back and forth. And I even said, cannibalize the one at the bubble, that's a roundabout, and I gave them that SLF number. And then put it down there, because that's the most dangerous corner we've got. You're going downhill, it's a sudden turn. You have Galvin and Newman's kids there, right there.
Cars
End of that.
parked on the corner.
Hmm?
Cars parking on the.
Yeah. So anyways, that's where we are. And they've been fairly responsive. And that's why I gave the suggestion, cannibalize the other one, fix this one, and then do the other one.
Maybe the safety angle is the way we should go
That's what I did.
with, no, I mean with a different agency. With a different city agency?
No, this is not city,
Oh,
this is Puget Sound Energy. They're the
oh.
ones that have the lights,
Oh.
they take care of the lights, Puget Sound Energy.
Couldn't we report them? Police and say we have a safety issue on this corner. There's been accidents. Have we had an accident?
No.
Maybe somebody could help us with the street light, yeah. Get us a new one.
Anyways, that's what's happening on the light, I'm still staying on top of that one. Okay?
I think you don't like that. You do it, put all the police in for it. That's what they're there for. Especially safety.
Moving right along.
Anybody else have anything?
Does anyone want the light?
Anybody?
Yeah. You can have most of it.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, who made the motion, who made the motion?
Yeah, anybody, pick a name.
Did you get second?
I'll second it.
It's not good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hey, I do wanna say thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
It's all Julia.
Well, these two.
Folks that have joined us, bye.
Bye.
Right.
Bye.
Thank you.
You can say something. I'll let you know since you fly, and actually, I'm not